front. Now we're going to see a little four-wide action.
Crazy out of the trial.
Oh, he gets into Lima to wreck it.
3x3 entering four.
Three dude. At the flag stand, side by side, it's going to be Jason Maines winning it at Talladega. Hello everybody, welcome into the PGR Thursday Night Heat Series live from the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway. Everybody that's just tuning in, appreciate you being here. You are watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. Drivers all getting gridded up, and we are getting ready to go green for 55 laps of, well, I would normally say fast-paced, high-banked action tonight. It's going to be a lot of money on the line. These guys are going to be fighting even harder than usual for it. We'll get more into that in just a moment. As we bring up the starting grid here tonight, it is going to be Ken McCall Jr. from McCall Motorsports sitting on the pole. To his outside in second, Alex Hill will roll. Actually going to be on Dale Cup here tonight. Zachary Lima, another one of Dale Cup drivers. Cody Nagel's working with Dale Cup. And Steve Korsek, the fourth Dale Cup teammate in here tonight. David Sheets will start back in sixth. It's going to be Andrew Navarro in seventh. Matt Lee to his outside in eighth. And John Mullihan, John Corbett rounding out your top 10. Dustin Carruthers will start next to his teammate Kenneth Stamper. Those two going to be making up row number 6. Ron Morris Jr. in 13th. He has Ryan Bass to his outside in 14th. Joey Duchette back in 15th. As we roll on back here, John Darnell in 16th. Daniel, I believe that's DeRio. It's a new driver in here tonight. He'll roll from 17th. Chris Blanchard back in 18th. Harrison Whitehead in 19th. And Mark Vondell rounding out your top 20. Jason Jacoby and Michael Menchaca going to be starting in row 11. Danny Esserman from McCall Motorsports making a return here tonight. He'll start 23rd. Daniel Eberhardt, Mr. D3, he will start 24th. Dylan Jones behind him, 25th. Chris Parkman in 26th. Nash Brambilla back in 27th. Taylor Peacock, 28th. Brock Westmoreland in 29th. Logan York rounding out your top 30. The party keeps going back in 31st with series owner Michael Triscaro. Christopher McCall going to be starting in 32nd. 33rd, Jackson Holbrook. 34th, Mike Davenport. And rounding out your field here tonight is going to be Zach Range. He will start from the 35th position. Remember, he had a solid run in Tuesday Night Thunder. We'll see what he can do here tonight. Taking a look at your race info. Everything's the same as per usual in terms of still the Thursday Night Heat Series. Back at Talladega, track temp 83. And some of these things were picked by the teams this week, including the weather. 80 degrees outside, 40% humidity, partly cloudy skies. A little windy, though, gusting at around 15 miles an hour in the Truck Series for 55 laps around this super speedway here tonight. Everybody is going to have 60% fuel, unlimited tires, 1 fast repair fix setups as always, and we have 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Talked about the biggest difference, though, this week is the payouts. It was a $25 entry, and as a result, $300 guaranteed to the winner of this race tonight. And if it were to stand exactly how it starts, Ken McCall Jr., he's got to be feeling pretty good about where he starts this race from. Into the trial we go. Looking for the green flag for the first time here tonight. They're going to get it. We are racing at Talladega. Green flag in the air. First lap completed here tonight at Talladega. Zachary Lima going to be your leader, getting a big push from one of the Dale Cup teammates here tonight. And that's that 77 truck of Alex Hill. Again, normally we would see Alex and Cody on NBG, but tonight they decided to join force with Lima and Korsek, who we don't get to see as often anymore. That is going to be a strong, strong team here tonight. 4 trucks, plenty to make their own lane for themselves and try to get to the front. And then Matt Lee, one of the other drivers we normally see with NBG, he is going to be working with, I believe, some of the guys such as Andrew Navarro maybe Dylan Jones, some of those guys here tonight. We'll see how everything pans out. But up front, Ken McCall Jr. still in control on the bottom. You see Steve Korsak doing a lot of pushing to the back of that 03 truck. Navarro sitting in third on the inside. John Mullihan just behind him. But look at the tandem now that we're going to see from the 77 and the 4. Trying everything to get Zachary Lima clear. As you saw, they actually pulled away from Cody Nagels. That is not something you see too often for two trucks to get that lined up. But you know they're feeling pretty comfortable right now, waiting to see who is going to get that third line rolling first. And it looks like we're going to get to see just that now. Jason Jacoby in the 88, first man to jump out of line just behind him. A couple rows back, I think that might be Chris Blanchard trying to get some momentum going as well, but it doesn't look like he's going to get enough takers. So he is going to have to hop right back down the line. He'll try again here in just a moment. Actually, I think that was further back. That was actually the 8 truck of Chris Parkman who was trying to get the third lane working. And now we're going to see one of the McCall Motorsports teammates jump out to the aid of that outside line. It is going to be Christopher McCall trying to give a push to Jason Jacoby. Already looking to go to the front. Chris Rock in the 24 tonight. Kenneth Stamper just in the middle of those two, pushing one of his teammates in Sean Corbett. Ooh, man, you saw Ken get a little loose up front right there. Oh, big wiggle in the middle of the pack. David Sheets has to catch it. He does so, but, man, that caused a big stack up. A lot of momentum going to roll here on the bottom. Top deformed a little bit here as everybody's deciding which way they want to go to avoid all the catastrophe or near catastrophe that we just saw right there. And that allowed Jason Jacoby to find a spot in line. He jumps behind Christopher McCall. They made up quite a few positions right there. Christopher McCall is already up 26 positions from where he started in just 4 laps. Jason Jacoby up 12. Appreciate, as we noted earlier, everybody tuning out here tonight. Dawson, well, again, we don't have Baker in the booth here tonight. Out enjoying Hawaii, but Dawson Wise might be hopping in with us here towards the end. Currently over there finishing up an OP race, so we'll see if we get Dawson towards the latter half of this race. But right now, we got plenty of action to keep us occupied. Jason Jacoby continues to not give up on the outside line. Starting to play with a little bit of fire, though, here. Really side drafted everybody that he gets door-to-door with. We've seen a lot of right rear net code before in these trucks. It's one of those things you can only play with fire for so long before it's going to burn you. But right now, it continues to work as we see Steve Korsak jump to the top. More wiggling going on throughout the pack. John Mullihan got a little bit out of line off the front bumper of Matt Lee. He has to check up. Andrew Navarro still stuck on the back of Kent McCall Jr. They're trying to hold off that Dale Cup duo. Now you see Lima would have got himself in an odd spot. But with that extra teammate here tonight in the 77, cuts him a break and more movement out back. Jason Jacoby back to the outside. Looks like Sean Corbett, and I believe that might be going a little bit further back here. Yeah, it's Brock Westmoreland in the 17. He's going to jump out of line as well. And I see a third, maybe fourth lane trying to form up now. Everybody continues to scramble for positions, and again, it's 60% fuel. I know me and Baker got caught a little bit off guard with this last time, but I think these guys should be able to go somewhere around probably 18, anywhere between 18 to 20 laps on fuel. That would be my general guess if they could make it 20. And again, I know I said 55 laps earlier. I meant to say 60, so I apologize for that pre-race mix-up. But if they could somehow make it to 20, and again, there's no scheduled cautions. We get to that first pit stop. We've seen it only a couple times, but we have seen it before. One pit stop, all of a sudden, this race has a tendency to go green the rest of the way. But, man, nothing working for that third lane right now. And when we talked about the teams getting to pick the weather, it shouldn't come as too much of a shock that they decided to go with weather that would make the trucks handle a little bit more stable. The downside of that is it's going to be a little bit harder to get that third lane rolling at all here tonight. You're going to have to see a lot of guys really start pushing, try to make something happen. But so far, so good, as here's the ride on board for the 88 of Jason Jacoby, currently sitting just behind Cody Nagels in the 6 machine, and he's going to jump out of line again. Don't think he's going to get any takers, as Christopher McCall says, hey, man, listen, I know we got to the front, but settle down here. He stays in line. I think Jason sees that as he's going to jump right back down in line, a couple rows back. Here's Michael Menchaca, another one of the guys that we don't get here too much, but certainly can run with the big guys up front, and he currently sits up 10 positions from where he started. Ryan Bass back in 14th. And there's Logan York. I saw, we got some trouble back here. Navarro and Lee falling big time. They're going to pit here. Throwing a little bit of strategy into the mix. Did not expect a pit stop this early. But it looks like that would certainly confirm that Lee and Navarro are working together here tonight. And the crowd that they brought with them, I believe, contains some of the KSR drivers. There's going to be at least a couple of them. And it looks like Dustin Carruthers, there he is in the 10 truck, and also going to roll out of the pits here. Dylan Jones rocking a new paint scheme here tonight. Dylan's truck looking pretty good. There's the 11 machine. I believe that's a Ryko scheme. And then the other two that are going to roll out with him there, Daniel Eberhardt, and then a little bit further back, Harrison Whitehead and John Darnell rocking the Ghost Racing Network colors here tonight. John, we certainly appreciate it. And I know he was the other pick for Zach Range on guys that he was thinking are going to get the win here tonight. But he's going to have to try to catch either this draft or the next group that pits if he wants any chance at making that a reality. So as all these guys get back up to speed, it is going to be Matt Lee leading the second pack. Trouble up front. Yellow flag is in the air. Didn't actually catch it at first. And I think this is going to have to be something to do with the green flag pit stops. Oh, Ken gets turned by his teammate Ron Morris Jr. Caution was out. This isn't going to hurt the 03 too bad. He'll whip it back around. And as long as there's no more contact, he'll be able to move on, get into his box, and continue forward. But what happened to bring out this caution here? Before the caution, looks like Jason Jacoby, Sean Corbett, and Taylor Peacock all had trouble. Good to see Taylor back out here. And yeah, sure enough, this is going to have to do with the green flag stops. Here you go. Ooh, big trouble right there for the 88 of Jason Jacoby to start. That's the 73 of Ryan Bass that's going to run into his back bumper. And not sure if it was just maybe a little bit of a late commitment for Ryan here. Let's see if we can play it a little slower. You see, yeah, I mean, it's actually hard to call from that. Take a look here from the chopper view. Your next thought has to be, did Jason get all the way off the track? Certainly a thing that we see sometimes with certain guys, maybe not quite getting all the way off the track here. And, oh yeah, tell you what it was Jacoby got down late. But at the same time, I mean, it looks like Baste is pitting, but he is carrying a ton of speed. I mean, I don't see any way he gets down to speed right here. Let's take another look. Yeah, I mean, that was just a really, really odd look here. I mean, look how deep they are here, and Baste has not even touched the brake yet. And right there, he finally lets off, but I mean, just clobbers the back of Jason Jacoby. Now, in Ryan Bates' defense, Jason Jacoby did not come down from the bottom line. He came from a couple lanes up, and I mean, this deep into the thing, you're probably not expecting a guy to pit there, but what I want to compare here is Ryan Bates right here, and we'll go and compare that to a guy like Christopher McCall, who we saw running basically right next to him at this point, and you'll see the speeds here should look quite a bit different. As you see, Chris, the RPM's already way down. I mean, there you go. You hear it there, and just you can see visually the speed difference here. As Baste just, I mean, he's flying by Christopher McCall, so just really not sure if Baste was going to try to make it back on the track or what happened there, but sends Jacoby into the grass. Baste shoots through the pits, and then after the fact here, going to get a little bit more contact between Ken McCall Jr. and his teammate, Ron Morris Jr. Again, no harm, no foul between those two. They'll be able to continue on. As once Ken got spun, he got it whipped back around in the correct direction. And then after the flag here, looks like some more trouble between the same two drivers here. And watching for it, looks like no harm, no foul here. This looks like Danny Eschman. Oh, the 3 truck. That's Taylor Peacock. He just brings it to a stop. And he's just going to sit there. I think he was letting everybody go by. Jason Jacoby running up behind him here. This is what I was wondering too. I think they both had to come to a stop. Yeah, so nonetheless, no secondary issues present there under the first caution of the night. So as we go back up front, it is John Mullihan leading the way, Christopher McCall in second. Back rounding out the podium as they stand right now, it's going to be Kenneth Stamper, Ron Morris Jr., Ken McCall Jr. rounding out the top 5. Cody Nagels in 7th, Zachary Lima 8th, Steve Korsak 9th, and Joey Deschette. Good to see him in here tonight, currently rounding out your top 10. And I think we're going to get the one to go signal, but I actually want to take one more look at this wreck from a little bit of a better angle here, just to see all the cars involved, because I thought maybe we saw some contact out back as well, which I didn't catch on the initial replay. So as we go look at Jason Jacoby here, watch out back behind him. Yeah, man, Taylor Peacock, Sean Corbett, and Mark Vondell, the secondary portion of that wreck, and that would make a lot more sense onto why the caution actually had gotten brought out. Again, didn't see this initially, and I was kind of wondering, maybe I should say a little surprised that it was brought out for those two as they were able to continue on, but here you go, your culprit back here. I mean, Taylor Peacock just gets absolutely hammered from Nash Brambilla, and I think part of it's going to be here, Peacock's making a late dive. Yeah, he is still on the track, and you know, Nash Brambilla is still at full speed as he was planning to stay out. you got to get down a little bit sooner, and that sends the 3 down into the 45. 45 gets down into Mark Vondell, and that's what had all of the trucks that we saw spinning turned around. They come to a stop. Vondell with a little bit of rear end damage there as he hit the wall. Corbett whips it around, and he will go in the right spot. So back up front, we do get the 1 to go. Taking a look at the chat. Good to see Zach Range, Logan York in here tonight. John, good to see you in here as well. Zayna Thompson says, good luck, John Darnell. And Matthew Baker, our normal broadcaster in the chat, says, let's go, Austin. Miss you guys. We certainly miss having you in the booth, Baker, but hoping Hawaii's going pretty well. Kevin Egel says, let's go, Cody and the boys. And getting ready to go back green. Again, first caution of the night. Racing had been pretty clean up to that point. We actually did make it to the first round of pit stops. And speaking of pit stops here, in fact, I'm starting to think maybe I had a couple things mixed up in pre-race info. Taking another look at it. Yeah, I did. And man, oh man, slacking up here in the booth. I apologize. Looking at it a second time here, fuel tonight was actually only 45%. So that would make a lot more sense on some of the strategy that we were seeing be played. And if you break it down this way at 45%, we know 50% gives them about 16 laps. So I'm thinking they have right around that margin of 15 to 16 laps on fuel, and then depending on how much you save. And so if we take that into account, and we're going to be going green here with what looks to be 49 laps to go, then this is still going to probably be a solid, probably 3-stopper. Definitely 2, and yeah, it should still be 1 more pit stop. So we will see if they can make it to then and how the second round of stops looks. Back up front, green flag is in the air. We're back racing at Talladega. Good start for John Mullahan and Christopher McCall. The 2 McCall Motorsports teammates going to stay even. The outside, a little bit more help from McCall Motorsports as Ron Morris Jr. on the back bumper of his teammates. But as everybody gets up to speed, keep an eye on that 77 in the 4 truck as well. Zachary Lima and Alex Hill, I think they're going to split 3 wide about as quick as they can. Watch for Cody Nagels and Steve Korsek on the bottom to try to fill their gap a little bit. We see Logan York, he jumps up to the top further back. And a lot of shuffling going on right now as a lot of momentum going in different areas. And we're going to see it go from the outside to the inside as Christopher McCall is able to jump down, diving into turn 3. That opens it up to Ron Morris Jr. Alex Hill staying patient as we're going to see the 16 now of Joey Duchette. He'll jump to the bottom. How about the run right now that we're seeing from Daniel Dirio? Currently up here running in the top 10 and 9th, up 8 from where he started. And the driver of the 78 talked about one of the new guys here tonight, but certainly does not look like he is scared to go ruffle some feathers. Exactly what he's doing now. And we got a little bit of just a small break in the pack here. I think this, again, just all the disorganization that gets caused from the restarts. Everybody fights so hard for any piece of real estate. And the problem is sometimes you make it harder on yourself to go forward when you try to split a guy than just staying patient for a couple laps and wait till everything kind of becomes a little bit more uniform to a certain degree. So the 0-2 of John Mullahan now on the back bumper of Christopher McCall. McCall Motorsports currently sitting 1, 2, 3. Top 6 payouts here tonight, so they've got half of them swept for the moment. Now we're going to see Cody Nagel, Steve Korsek roll the top. There's the split. All of the Dale Cup teammates going to jump up to the top, and as they leave Ron Morris Jr. out to hang, Christopher McCall is going to try to beat him a little bit at their own game as he tries to pull the middle along. Just not going to be enough as Dale Cup going to go marching by. Steve Korsek, Zachary Lima and Alex Hill going to get clear. I thought maybe Steve Korsek and Cody Nagels would as well. That was a massive run, and it worked out in getting 2 of them clear. But unfortunately, it's going to leave 2 of them to fade to the back here if they can't get any more help from that 3rd lane. See Jason Jacoby starting to make his way back up to the front. A lot of movement going on. Ooh, almost some contact right there between Logan York further back towards the middle of the pack. He sits in the middle of 3 wide. Mike Davenport, one of the Team PGR drivers, he's got a teammate behind him and Nash Brambilla. Big move, it's not going to work. Ken McCall Jr. hard into the wall, upside down. Goes the 0-3, lands back on all 4. Caution is out. The 88's in it, the 78 as well. The 99 of John Darnell comes to a stop, and that was a huge wreck for the 03 driver from McCall Motorsports, the captain. Let's go back and take a look. Second caution of the night. Boy, it was a violent one. Let's take a look first from the TV follow cam. Give it to you in full speed here. So the 78, we just talked about him having a great run. That's Daniel. And then you're going to see here, actually I want to hold on just a second here. And so Daniel, along with the 32, sitting just in front of him, Michael Menchaca. I think that's where this is going to start. And if we play at full speed, ooh, yeah, Menchaca gives a little bit of an offset shot to the 78. And with that, you're going to see the 78 here go up the hill. And then I'm not sure if Menchaca just got a little bit nervous or what. Or does he get a little contact here? It doesn't look like Carruthers ever makes contact, but certainly is odd to see a truck shoot down the track that much without any. So let's ride on board here with Michael Menchaca and see if he just gets a little loose here, or maybe a little too jumpy with the steering wheel. Yeah, it looks like from that view as if he got a little tap out back, which is certainly a possibility once we saw the checkup. Let's take a look here from the chopper, see if Dustin Carruthers maybe makes some slight contact. Yeah, he does. Sure enough, that's what it is. That slight contact from Dustin Carruthers sends the 32 down into Ken McCall Jr. That sends Ken up the track, and then watch this hit. Boom! The 03 gets pinned up against the wall into the catch fence before this thing gets upside down, and this is ugly. He goes for a couple barrel rolls, quickly lands back on all four. And then you see everybody else just scattering, trying to find a way to miss the wreck. And that one collected quite a few of them, but Ken McCall Jr. certainly got the worst of it. Get a couple different angles of this one here. Nashburn Billa. Ooh, man, looked like he was going to make it through, and Jason Jacoby gave him a little shot right towards the end. And I do want to go back and, here in a minute, ride on board with, I think that, couldn't tell if it was maybe the 99. You see the red Jegs truck flying through. Man, I don't know how he misses it all. It's actually the 25. And so going to get himself some track position. That is another one of the new drivers out here tonight with a great run. And that's going to be Harrison Whitehead, who we saw actually pit under that first stop with the leaders. Did a good job there. And watch the job that he does right here, missing this wreck. Oh my goodness. Sometimes the C's got to part and you got to be able to drive through it at the same time. He did both of those things. Man, his heart had to skip a beat there for a minute because that was one close call. Let's take one final view of it here from the fan cam as they watch the 03 of Ken McCall Jr. get upside down. And you know what, to take that back, I want to ride on board here with Ken. Is your wild ride of the night. I don't think we're going to see one quite as pat as this right here. Blindside turn, head on into the wall, and then he's just along for the ride at that point. Destroys that truck. He's going to have to use a fast repair, no doubt about it. And so as we go back up front, Zachary Lima being scored as your leader. John Mullihan back in second with Alex Hill third. Christopher McCall in fourth. Cody Nagels rounding out your top five. Kenneth Stamper in sixth. Steve Korsak seventh. Ron Morris Jr. in eighth with Joey Deschette ninth. And Jackson Holbrook currently rounding out your top 10. Should be getting the one to go signal this time. So we are going to take a quick break. We'll be back for the green flag. Stick with us. Zachary Lima leading at Talladega. And here we go back live at Talladega Superspeedway. Zachary Lima getting ready to lead him back to the green flag. Alex Hill on the outside. 17 laps, make it 18 when we cross the line. Completed. Green flag is back in the air. Another pretty good even jump. At least is what it looked like from the initial start. A lot of checking up, though, going on about the fourth row on back, at least on the outside. Joey Deschette very, very far from the back bumper here of Steve Korsak. That's going to allow Ron Morris Jr. to slide on down to the inside, but the thing that catches my eye right here is that long single file line that we're seeing. I think that's because a lot of guys chose to top off as the pit strategy has changed here a little bit. And now we'll see if we can make it to the next green flag stop to maybe shuffle some things up. Cody Nagle's big push to John Mullihan on the inside, not trying to let his teammate get clear if he doesn't have to. And he is going to be able to hold John Mullihan near the front for now. Zachary Lima is still getting a big push. Again, the temps. Talk all about temps all day long. Even if the track temp is cool, eventually you're going to run out of temps. And when they're 2x2, it's usually that bottom that runs out first. But so far, so good as Mullihan stays out. That single file line is actually kind of broken up a little bit. We've had some guys here that it looks like have lost the pack. Zach Range has had big issues. So has, well, of course, Michael Triscaro's our race control here tonight. So I take that back. I know initially in pre-race, I'd forgotten that Michael was race controlling here tonight. Ken McCall Jr., though, he did not use a fast repair on that truck. And I've got to wonder here, in one of those first wrecks we saw, was he involved? I don't think that he was, so I'm really shocked that that 03 chose not to use a fast repair right here, especially after we saw him upside down and in the catch fence. But nonetheless, he has lost the pack, and then this little group right here, currently being led, it looks like, by Mike Davenport in the 55. They're borderline of losing the back bumper draft from John Darnell. It currently is about a 2-second gap. They're going to have to get within 1.5 to keep it. And it looks like everybody else has finally caught back up to this lead group. So they're quickly going to double file back up, and we will see just how quickly we get this third line rolling. Down into turn one. And it looks like here we're just getting word Dawson Wise has now joined us in the booth. And that means we're going to go dual commentator the rest of the way. Dawson, how you doing here tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Just got done commentating the league race myself, but I had to come check out PGR tonight. Fill in for Baker a little bit. I thought it would be pretty fun, especially with the big payouts on the line. It's going to be really fun to see.
Yeah, and those payouts, you're going to see these guys will start to realize it more and more as the race goes on. I'm telling you, this one is going to end with some fireworks, whether it be a photo finish or some tempers. There is going to be somebody going home extremely happy here tonight, and somebody maybe not so happy as you see the 6 of Cody Nagels blinking there just a little bit. That's going to cause some concern for the 27 of Steve Korsak. And, you know, Dawson, we actually gotten word here tonight that Cody and Alex decided, well, NBG initially tonight was going to be Cody, Alex, and Matt Lee. They decided to split it up a little bit. So what we heard is Cody and Alex running with Dale Cup here tonight, Lima and Korsak, and then Andrew Navarro is working with Matt Lee here tonight. So a little bit of a different approach, and I mean, you can see how well it's working out for Dale Cup right now as they have, looks like 4 of the top 5 spots swept right now.
A very interesting approach out of one of the more dominant money racing teams to split and go 2 different ways tonight. Obviously, like you said, it's working. Dale Cup knows what they're doing. They know how to get up front and stay up front. Obviously, with the addition of a guy like Alex Hill tonight, that's a huge addition for them. They've got some really strong trucks in that stable, so no surprise to see them running up front and on the front row. But the one that surprises me is the 2 McCullough Motorsports trucks on the bottom. How about Chris McCullough leading the bottom line? Great run for him early on, as well as Jackson Holbrook. I haven't seen that name in a long time. 3rd in the outside, holding his own right now as well.
And speaking of McCall Motorsports, they're coming up on their teammate here, Ken McCall Jr. Going to put him a lap down. Again, really wish I had a little bit more data on exactly what the 03 chose to do as strategy here. We saw him involved in that last wreck that destroyed the truck, and okay, there we go. Looking a little bit better here as it looks like the 03 of Ken McCall Jr. We'll get confirmation on this here as we take a little bit of a closer look, but it does look like he chose to go in and use the fast pair. Yeah, he did. And, I mean, we saw the restart there. That truck was still destroyed, and he was losing so much time. He decided just better to cut his losses, go and take the fast pair. So he is in the lucky dog position if we were to get a caution. But I think his biggest fear, Dawson, is going to be that we make it to a green flag stop. We saw a lot of trouble on the first round of those as well, though. So I don't know what we're going to see this time, right? I mean, you got the teams. They try to go together, but the rest of the field, if you're not on a team, you got to pick a team to go with. So it's just kind of that uneven balance sometimes causes a lot of struggles getting into a pit road that's not easy to do when you come off turn 4 at almost 190 miles an hour.
Well, especially not when they're this close together. It's not like they're going to be, separating to get on pit road. Your goal is to get on and off as fast as possible. You push the limits every time you come to pit road. And on Tuesday, we saw that bite some guys. Obviously, from what I'm hearing, they had some issues tonight as well. But we really saw it bite guys on that last run on Tuesday night. So you got to learn from that. You got to know where the limit is, how much you can do, how much you can't do to execute. But obviously, Kenny's going to be hoping for some chaos here. It's about the only way he gets back in this race. If this goes green all the way out, he's not in a great spot right here.
I think the farthest these guys can make it on fuel to this next window is probably somewhere around lap 33 to 34. That would be pushing absolutely out of fuel. We'll see if they try to split the strategy a little bit differently. I mean, again, you look at it, guys can make about, again, right between 15 and 16 laps of fuel on that 45% tank. So I would say that maybe we see a little strategy of guys trying to bring it in on maybe lap 30 to 31 or 31 to 32 to try to break away from the rest of the pack. But again, have not seen all that much 3 wide here tonight a couple times. We'll see a surge from it. As you see, track temp outside still 83 degrees, and it looks like the way the weather was decided is it is paused in the moment. So the sim time is 9 a.m., and it's going to stay 9 a.m. for this entire race. And so with that track temp not going anywhere near the hundreds, I still think it's going to be a little hard to get that third lane working unless you get a team of dedicated guys that really know how to push up there in it.
Yeah, and that's going to be the case. I mean, that's what we saw on Tuesday as well. The cool track temp did not allow the third line to get moving unless you had a really, really good group of cars on Tuesday. But tonight's going to be trucks up there. That's going to be the only way you can get anything going. And man, even just from what I've seen, we've had 1 or 2 go up there, but really nobody even testing it, probably because they know that pit stop is coming. That's a smart decision. Just kind of ride 2 wide, get to that pit stop, and then you can go from there. But yeah, with the track temp not changing, that's going to make things awfully tough. That's a very cool track temp. Favors the bottom and the middle for sure.
Well, McCall Motorsports currently sitting 1-2. John Mullahan pushing his teammate in. We saw Chris actually doing a really nice job here of working both lines. Christopher McCall, one of those guys that I feel like a lot of times when we see him, he likes to go to the front anytime after the second half of the race. But here tonight, he's trying to be more aggressive right from the get-go. It paid off, too. Got to the front pretty quick. I mean, he's up 31 positions from where he started. And now he's just trying to keep his teammate cool on the front end, trying to manage both lanes, and he's going to slide up. That one was a little closer than I think he would have liked it to be. Looks like Zachary Lima's going to cut him a little slack right there. Just behind him, Alex Hill. And how about the 15 now that we're seeing making his way into the top 5? That's Jackson Holbrook. We know this guy's got plenty of talent, making one of his, I believe this might actually be his debut here tonight. Jackson finds himself in the top 10.
Yeah, great run for the 15. Like I said, I have not seen him in a very long time. I know he has money racing experience in the past, but I have not seen him in one in over 2 years at this point. So definitely has to get readjusted to the way these guys like to race. It's a bit of a learning experience. It's a learning curve. I had to do it myself over the course of the summer as I made my debut, and let me tell you, it's a whole different world than it was even 2 years ago. So Holbrook hanging around nicely so far. Looks like he's adjusting well to it. Looks like he's running comfortable there, fourth in the outside line.
And you saw right there, Jason Jacoby currently just got put a lap down. So now him and Ken McCall Jr. will go to battle, fighting for that lucky dog, expecting another caution, which, I mean, I got to think we'll probably see at some point just with how aggressive the pushing has been so far here tonight. Christopher McCall got him and Ken mixed up for just a split second. Drops back down to the bottom. But going all the way back to where Ken McCall Jr. is, we've seen things like this before, Dawson, where even if you go a lap down, sometimes your best bet is to try to stay right on point with your team strategy. The only problem is as far back as he sits, I don't know if he's going to be able to pit with all of his teammates, but we'll see how he goes about doing it. Meanwhile, moving through the field now, a couple guys trying to make up some positions just before the pit stops here. And we have probably about 7 laps until then. And on the outside, you saw Ryan Bates. He's going to now drop to the inside, and that leaves the 8 truck of Chris Parkman all by himself. He's going to try to pull up to the back bumper. Now we see a big surge from the bottom as Christopher McCall, John Mullahan trying to pull away here just a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of that. I think also the Dale Cup trucks are trying to let their teammates, or pseudo teammates anyway, tonight in line. They do just that. 77 of Alex Hill, the 4 of Zachary Lima getting in line. So they're lined up 4 on the bottom, getting ready for this pit stop. It looks like it may be a little bit earlier than lap 31. They may even come earlier than that. I'm not sure where that puts them on fuel numbers, but they were really forcing their way to the bottom as if they're going to be making this stop pretty quick here.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised if They came in, let's see, they could probably make it in this lap and it'd be right on the window. But again, I think if you're playing it for safety, maybe looking ahead into a potential overtime or just not wanting to have to worry about saving fuel in this pack as we run the rest of the way, I think you're going to want to go one more lap around. But now that everybody's single file, anybody that's on the outside, this is where we would normally see people dropping in line, but they can still make it another 5 laps or so on fuel if they absolutely need to here. Sorry, I take that back, about 4. So I think you'll see what we usually see from guys like Daniel Eberhardt, Dylan Jones, Andrew Navarro. That's when they like to jump to the outside, try to make up some position, and as everybody scrambles to find a spot to pit from this inside line, they will march right by as yellow flag is in the air. Trouble out back here. Looks like Eshelman's involved and Jason Jacoby maybe as well here. The 88 slow out back, but Danny Eshelman was another guy that popped up. Sean Corbett's. Ooh, and Corbett's the slow one here. As you see, he is currently sitting down on the apron. Brings out your third caution tonight, looking for where the damage is at on the 45 machine. And yeah, he's got some on the right front. Looks like a pretty decent amount as that fender is bent in past where the end of the tire is. And so let's go take a look at what brings out this third caution here tonight. So you got Sean Corbett back here. There was trouble up ahead. And Corbett's going to get in like kind of the secondary portion. And that is, looks like Logan York. Push on the back bumper there of Chris Blanchard. That's where this is all going to start. And if we go to the chopper view, is just, yeah, not really sure. Again, one of those things where, you know, it wasn't anything intentional, but not sure what exactly Logan and Chris were really doing right here. It looks like Chris is trying to check up for the truck in front. Maybe Logan was trying to push him back up there. And it looks like, yeah, so there's a check up in front. Chris goes low as I think the push from Logan maybe turns him down there just a little bit. And then Logan followed him, maybe didn't realize that he went off track, just hooks him as he tries to follow. That turns the 9 up the track into John Darnell. That's a tough break for John. And then there's Sean Corbett and Mark Vondell getting together in the secondary portion of the wreck. And that was ultimately what brought out the caution.
Yeah, tough break, but it certainly makes this pit cycle a little bit easier for the leaders. That's one of those deals where I think you're right. Maybe checking up on the bottom, Logan York didn't quite get the memo, and they come together, and that's kind of one of those unfortunate deals we see so much on super speedways. It's kind of, you know, one of those things. It tends to happen quite a bit, especially when we're getting close to a green flag cycle.
And I think that actually Chris Blanchard got saved a little bit right there. Of course, still got damage, but I think that would have been a lot worse if he didn't get to use John Darnell as a little bit of a cushion right here. But still certainly big damage for the 9 as you see the 01 sneak by. I want to take an onboard view real quick here for Logan York. And again, you got to remember as a driver at this point, you got what we like to call tunnel vision. You are so focused on the back bumper of the truck in front of you, and yeah, it's just what happened there. I mean, you saw how quick Logan bailed out of the throttle. He was trying everything to get off once he realized what happened, but it was fortunately just a little bit too little too late. And as we take one more look at it here from the wall cam, certainly could have been a lot worse. Good thing for probably the field in this case is that it happened so far to the back. The bad news is, as you were just kind of starting to note on, Dawson, this is going to make everybody pit, and this will keep the strategy on target. So again, a chance at seeing a green flag stop and maybe getting guys split up isn't going to happen. Some teams like it, others don't. I think Dale Cup was really hoping we were going to make it to that pit stop, but nonetheless, we have now just crossed the halfway mark here tonight.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they would have liked to have had that little bit of help in getting to the pit stop. They're very good at executing on and off pit road, and certainly wanted to separate the field there. That was the goal for those 4 trucks, is to get lined up, try to just win the race that way. But fortunately, it doesn't work out for them, and now they're going to have to settle this the old-fashioned way in the pack. And I think there'll still be 1 pit stop left. I didn't quite get a look at the fuel number, but I felt like it was very low, as if we were going to have about 15 lap fuel runs tonight.
Yep, that's exactly what it's going to be. So again, expecting 1 more pit stop, and that window should open right at lap 45. And if you come down, and I do think it's not a bad idea to top off here, especially if you're halfway on in the pack back. But it looks like even the leaders are going to come down and top off. No, some of them are going to stay out. Big fake right there from John Mullahan. Everybody else is going to do the same exact maneuver, it looks like. I want to bring up the payouts here real quick before we go green. We talked about it at the start of the broadcast. $300 guaranteed to win here tonight, regardless of what we got. Hey, if we got 2 guys, well, guess what? It would have been 2 guys battling it out for $300. The rest of the payouts were based off of 40. Looks like we got 30. I believe it was 33. So still not too bad. And Again, it's going to be a little bit lower here than what we state on the thing, but initially the payouts were going to be for second, $200, third, $150, fourth, $125, fifth, and sixth, $100. And again, those are going to scale a little bit. But Dawson, the thing that's not going to scale is those $300 to win this race. And I think everybody's got their eye on that one here tonight.
Yeah, I believe it's our biggest winning payout since the SummerSlam race back in July. I don't think we've had a payout quite that big, unless you count the team draft payout from a few weeks ago if you won the team draft and the race, which I still don't think would have equaled up to $300. So regardless, yeah, a huge payout tonight. It's a huge night for whoever can get that $300. I'll tell you what, it's going to be more intense than it usually is, and I've seen how it is every single Thursday, and that's intense enough. But more money, more intensity, and then most likely a little bit better finish. And
this is kind of all in part to the fact that Michael Trasquero, series owner, decided to let a couple of different teams pick the format/entry fee here this week. And I believe it was McCall Motorsports got to pick entry fee and maybe something else. And then KSR got to pick the weather conditions, I believe is how it was set up. And so McCall Motorsports said, you know what, let's up it $5. And as a result, that's what led us to the $300 guaranteed payout. Yeah, everybody fighting hard for it here tonight. And most weeks we're used to seeing $20, so to still see an over 30 truck turnout for $5 up, certainly an encouraging thing to see. Some guys like that $5, I would say $5 add-on, and some don't, but the guys that we're seeing here tonight, certainly some of the best, along with some new rookies. It's been a fun race so far, but we're not seeing a very long outside line right here, Dawson. A lot of people came down to top off. Question is going to be, does anybody decide to just kind of save fuel and make it to this next stop, or do they get right back to door-to-door action just as we saw that entire last run?
I think they keep racing the way they are. They know they can make it to be a one-stop race now. You're not really questioning that up front. So the guys in the back just trying to give themselves more options. As we're going to go back on a green flag on lap 33. We're racing to the pit stop essentially as of right now. But for now, it'll be too wide about 6 or 8 rows deep, headed back off into turn number 1.
And as they dive down into turn 1, Christopher McCall, John Mullahan, the two McCall Motorsports teammates, they've been lined up either switching lanes or together here at the front for probably about the last 20 laps or so. Dale Cup so far has not found a way to get around. And again, I think they were giving them a little bit more patience than they necessarily had to. I mean, we saw what Dale Cup was able to do when they split these guys 3 wide. But on that outside line, 2 of the Dale Cup drivers, they're going to push Christopher McCall well clear. He'll drop down here as Cody Nagel's almost able to get clear of that 2 truck as well. Not quite able to pull it off, so he'll stay on the outside. Steve Korsak trying to charge him to the front. And that 6 truck's going to do a little bit of side drafting right here down on the door of John Mullahan as we're going to see the 77 now of Alex Hill. He moves up into the top line.
Dale Cup teammates tonight at least getting lined up. They're trying to all 4 get lined up. I think it's going to be close. There they go. Dale Cup lined up 1 through 4 on the outside. That is going to hang Chris McCullough and John Mullahan out to drive for a moment. Nagels to the lead, and now they control both lanes up front. Excellent execution up front by Dale Cup.
Steve Korsak, Zachary Lima, the original 2 Dale Cup drivers, they are now the ones leading that outside line. And I think we're going to see Cody do exactly what Chris did that last run, and that's just control both lanes here. He likes the position that him and his teammates are at right now. And again, we keep talking about all the money that you bring home for first. There's a lot of money in all of the other 5 paying positions here tonight. So any of those positions that you can sweep, that's going to be more money going towards the team. Further back, again, we've been seeing this all night as well, Dawson, on these restarts. So much disorganization, and it continues to cause issues with certain guys losing the pack. And right now, Mike Davenport, he's hanging on for dear life as he sits a second back from Ron Morris Jr. Logan York, though, doing a good enough of a job pushing. I think they're going to be able to catch back up. But, I mean, what can guys really do? We know when we race that when you're in the back, checkups, they just kill you.
They do, and that's kind of just the unfortunate part of it with the leaders running as hard as they are right now. They're not really saving much. They're foot to the floor most of the laps, so when you have to check up, you lose so much momentum in the truck that if you get about a second and a half back, you've lost the draft. There's not much you can do with 2 trucks to get back into it. Luckily, for those machines further back, I think they're going to be able to hang on just barely, but that's just kind of one of the tough deals. It's why a lot of guys don't like to run as far back as those guys are running, is because of the risk that you run running that far back and losing the draft. And if you want to be in a spot in the back, you run right about where Daniel Eberhardt and Andrew Navarro are right now. That's about 15th, 16th on the racetrack, just outside this lead draft, and that's a better spot than where those trucks further back are.
And I actually just moved the camera over to them because they were going to be the next point I brought up. Well, you've seen this strategy played multiple times from Daniel Eberhardt, Andrew Navarro, and Dylan Jones. I promise you will see those 3 trucks near the front at the end of this race, but as Dawson just noted, they're in a safer spot right now. They know that there's still a pit stop, and until we make it to where we're good to go on fuel, I mean, if you think about it, what's really the point in racing? I mean, it certainly puts on a good show for us up here in the booth and for the people watching at home, but besides that, all you're doing is maybe burning an extra half a lap of fuel than the guys sitting back, saving, taking it easy. And you're also putting yourself at risk of getting in a wreck. But, I mean, that's why we do bring fast repairs to the track. Everybody has a chance to get a brand new truck one time after being involved in a wreck. We've seen a couple of those collected already here tonight, and we almost saw another one right there further out back as Michael Menchaca right alongside the 25 of Harrison Whitehead. That was a really close call. They both save it. And now they're going to all get back to double file racing as they are up front. Steve Korsak and Zachary Lima continue to lead off of turn 2. And the other 2 teammates, Cody Nagels, Alex Hill, pushing.
Yeah, this is exactly what Dale Cup wants to see, is their trucks 1 through 4 controlling the lanes and leading the race and dictating the flow of not only this race up front, this double file race, but they're also going to dictate the flow of the pit stops. They're going to be the guys that set the tone. They're going to be the guys that everybody has to answer to. They can control exactly how much they panic the guys behind them. And that's what's so advantageous about running up front is as soon as you pull off, you're either going to A, draw a crowd with you to pit road, or B, you're going to send those guys into a bit of a spiral as they try to figure out, what do they do now that you've come to pit road. So this is exactly what they want to do. They want to be in a spot where they can dictate that and have control over the rest of the race.
And already at the point with just under 23 laps to go where you can feel this race starting to slowly come to a close as we're about in the last third of this race. John Darnell and Taylor Peacock, 2 drivers with issues earlier. Good to see him back towards the middle of the pack right now, continuing to try to make up positions. Darnell, it looks like in total is down a position from where he started. Taylor Peacock up 13 from where he started. But again, anybody in this lead pack has a shot at it after this first pit stop, but it's going to be the money stop, Dawson. You're going to have to be perfect getting on and off and making it into your box. And with all the troubles we've seen here tonight, what do you think? You make the strategy. Ooh, Nash Brambilla jumps out of line there. Jason Jacoby as well. Looks like he's going to throw a little bit of a fake. Ken McCall Jr. lets him back up, but I almost think after what I saw in that last pit stop, I would rather come in behind all of these guys.
To a degree, yes. Now, I think if you're the Dale Cup guys up front, you can late commit to this pit. They're all guys that are good on execution. They're good on getting the truck woed down. So I think you could maybe pull off late. Don't show your hand too early, and maybe you don't draw anybody to pit road. That's what I mean by dictating. You can really wait. Granted, yeah, if you were further back, you could also dictate a little bit by not having anybody come in behind you. But at the same time, look at how much time you're going to be giving up. Look at where guys like Daniel Eberhardt are right now. I mean, they're 8, 9, 10 rows back of the leaders. They're just so much farther back in time. I just don't think it works as well than if you're at the front where the Dale Cup guys are right now.
Well, they still have about 7 laps until those final pit stops. Zachary Lima and Alex Hill still on the outside. Ryan Bass third in line. And I know we're not going to see any 3 wide, probably not before this pit stop, as I think everybody's content to just try to make each line make some momentum, and then eventually we'll see them all drop down to the bottom. But if you look at how they run right now, guys that maybe you would have thought to take it 3 wide, depending on how everything shuffles out, I look for a guy like Ryan Bass. We've seen him perform in this series before, and I think a couple guys have a little bit more trust in him. Doesn't have one of the bigger teams out here, but I definitely think Ryan Bass has a good shot at the win here. But through this pit cycle, Dawson, I think there's a good chance that maybe we drop off anywhere between a quarter and a half of what we're working with right now. And here's a run on the outside. Mark Vondell and Brock Westmoreland trying to get to the front.
Well, I'll tell you, Ryan Bass is running with the KSR boys tonight. They do have a bit of a sizable team. It's not a huge entry tonight, and they're not all near the front. They do have trucks on the racetrack, so he does have a trustworthy group of teammates, but I think that's what the pit stop does. I think it keeps you honest. It keeps you in line. It keeps you racing a little bit more conservative, other than if you're Mark Vondell and Brock Westmoreland, they're starting to make some time, not a lot. They are starting to make some ground up here in the outside line, trying to make some noise, but I think if you're a guy like Ryan Bass, you probably just hang out where you are. Now he doesn't. He leans out there, and now we're going to be 3 wide for the first time.
Well, Ryan Bass making me look like I know what I'm talking about up here when he jumps out of line right there, trying to go to the front. And I was going to say, usually when we see 2 trucks start to make some progress, it's just too enticing as a driver out there. You say, hey, these guys are going to the front. I want to join this cause. So as we see Ryan Bass jump out, Mark Vondell still looks like he's getting a little uneasy off the front bumper of Brock Westmoreland. You know that's going to be making Sean Corbett, John Mullihan maybe just a little bit nervous with the amount of pushing going on. And again, Dale Cup, they seem so calm up front. I think they really want to get to this pit stop. Some of these other guys do, but definitely not those three. And now that it's caused some mix-up, starting to get into that area where you got to start to hold your breath for the next 4 to 5 laps on whether or not we can make it. And further back, Dawson, we're seeing a couple guys drop out a little bit here and fade back. They want no part of this. Some of those guys, including Matt Lee, Ron Morris Jr., Andrew Navarro, guys that we know we're going to see at the front at the end of this race, just trying to play it safe, as it looks like so is David Sheets. And then, unfortunately, Ken McCall Jr. currently sitting back in 31st position. He did get his lap back, though. But again, with no fast repair, certainly he's going to stay back and play it safe till it's go time.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, your hands are a bit tied if you got no fast repair, but I think you're right on the Dale Cup, boys. I think they're just kind of riding. I mean, it may look like they're racing pretty hard right here, but I promise you, if you look as they go by, you can tell they're really not pushing all that hard. We know Alex Hill's not going to lay off much, but regardless, these guys aren't pushing very hard. They're just trying to get to the window, which should open here shortly in the next couple laps. So as we wait for these guys to make the pit stop, they've done a good job so far of hanging Ryan Bass, Mark Mondell, and Brock Westmoreland out there, and they have stalled up there against the wall. It's as far as they can get, is even with the leaders. So not a good spot for those three to be in as we approach this pit stop.
Yeah, and the problem is, if it's just those 3 trucks, oh man, Mondell into the wall trying to save it. He's able to catch it. Westmoreland checks up. And now the question is, can the rest of the field check up as well? It looks like everybody does. Now this has caused quite a bit of separation throughout the pack. And man, everybody's going to have to try to catch back up before 3 laps from now, as that's when the pit window is going to open. And now it looks like we're going to see everybody jump down in line. I think after they saw that little bit of a wiggle right there from Mark Dawson, they decided, okay, that's enough of this. Let's get lined up and get ready for this pit stop before we cause caution.
Well, because the window's getting ready to open, I think if my numbers are right, it opens pretty shortly here. So you know these front 4, the second it opens, I think are going to be the first on pit road. Now, how big a crowd they draw, that's yet to be seen. We'll see how many guys decide they want to go with them. That'd certainly be the strategy to join onto, I think. But you can tell them getting down to the bottom signals it's almost time for that pit stop.
And you saw Daniel Eberhardt company jump to that outside, and all of a sudden that second lane has quickly formed up. And these are the guys that are going to try to make some passes and maybe hope that everybody on the inside goes in a lap early. The only problem you risk with this is if that inside waits till the absolute end of the fuel window and you're still out there, you're going to be in a very, very vulnerable spot trying to dive onto the pits. But you got to give credit still to the aid of Chris Parkman. First race out here tonight. He wants to get some laps led, and he's going to get his first one right there off the front bumper of Sean Corbett, Michael Menchaca, and Nash Brambilla also in that battle. We're going to see Nash drop down just in front of Steve Korsak as Dale Cup has gotten a little bit split up through all this chaos. Logan York able to hop down in line as well. So now it's just Menchaca, and it looks like Sean Corbett still up top. The 8 was able to drop down, and man, oh man, Chris Parkman, he is going to have quite the experience if this is his first time leading this giant group into the pits, and he better hold that wheel extra tight.
Well, yeah, because the guys behind him, specifically the 2 right behind him, are 2 of the most aggressive on pit entry, Zach Lima and Alex Hill. They know how to get onto pit road effectively and quickly. So if Parkman indeed leads the group onto pit road, it's going to get really interesting.
Spun.
That was Kenny McCall.
He does. What a save from Ken McCall Jr. Goes through the grass.
Oh,
Back
man,
on track. We stay green, but man, that's going to hurt his strategy.
Yeah, but a bad night goes worse for Kenny McCullough, man. He was waiting for a caution. Now it's just even a worse situation for him, as that run through the grass is going to mean he loses the lead draft, I think. And, man, I just saw him get out of shape. I thought for sure he was going around. I have no idea how he kept that truck going.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at it real quick. You saw one truck peel off. I think that was the 78. Peels off really, really early as we actually back this up just a little bit more. Yeah, it looks like, sure enough, that was the 78. Daniel DeRio. And so as he jumps off further back, the 25 and the 03 of Ken McCall Jr., those are the 2 that get together. Not sure exactly how, and we don't have time to take a deeper look because we're getting ready for the pit stop. So we're going to see up front is everybody's going to come in. This is not going to end well, Dawson.
Nope, reckon Chris McCullough, Daniel Eberhardt are around. They're going to turn Alex Hill, Steve Karosik, Cody Nagels. Oh, my goodness, there's a ton of trucks involved on pit road.
And surely this will draw the caution, and yes, it does. Caution is out as the 24, Christopher McCall, and the 77 of Alex Hill got in the grass, and that was absolute chaos. I mean, You know, it sounds easy in theory to say that if they all go down, it's not going to work split up, but everybody wants to go in with guys they trust, and you don't want to be the odd man left out. And in this case, it resulted in them all trying to go down to the pits. And I mean, we probably had about 3 different wrecks there all in one, and I don't think anybody took any damage, but certainly a lot of incidents. So let's back this up a little bit here. Take a look again from the TV follow cam for this. And you're just going to see just too many guys trying to make the pit speed at once. Eberhard dives in late, and Mullihan gets spun. And actually, Eberhard still is going to make it down to speed. But you saw once Chris got turned, that turns him up into Daniel Eberhard, who turns, looks like Alex Hill around. That gets into Steve Korsak. That sends Steve into Cody. Logan maybe getting a little damage as well further back. I think that's Sean Corbett in the 45. He's going to get in this one. And everybody else was able to keep it clean as they end up going 4, maybe 5 wide at one point on the pits. Joey Deschette driving through. Zachary Lima in front of it all was able to get in clean. But, you know, that's an interesting one. I think some guys, obviously anybody involved in it, are glad to see the caution. I think some of the other guys are saying, hey, man, what the heck? But I think overall it's a good call, Dawson, bring out the caution there because it's just too much controversy on it if you don't bring it out. And, I mean, we know in real life if we saw that many trucks get spun to the grass, there's a good chance that they'd probably throw it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one personally. I understand why it came out. There was a lot of chaos going on right there, and obviously if you let it go green, I don't know what goes on right there at the beginning of that pit cycle. But if you're, you know, a guy like Alex Hill, if you're a guy like Steve Korsak, you know, Chris McCullough, you're obviously happy to see that come out because that pretty much saves your race. But if you're a guy like Zach Lima or Chris Parkman or a guy that stayed in front of that, yeah, I mean, I'm a bit disappointed. I can tell you who the 3 trucks are that are going to be really happy with it. Matt Lee, David Sheets, and Andrew Navarro, who stayed out on the racetrack and inherited the race lead. So an unintentional, really great strategy call for those 3 trucks.
And with 13 laps to go now, everybody will be good to go on fuel, at least in regulation. If we get overtimes, could change up just a little bit. But with Matt Lee leading, David Sheets in second, Andrew Navarro third. We'll see if they decide to bring it down. Everybody else, like I said, is going to top off. So we'll see how it all sorts out here. Mike Davenport was looking, he's got some pretty heavy damage, it looks like, on that 55 machine. Maybe not too bad. Certainly looked like he's got a couple scuffs there on the right side. Yeah, I don't think it's too bad at all for the 55. He is, I think, going to be scored as your leader, depending on how things are getting sorted out here. The pace truck's still trying to get things figured out as these front 3 are actually going to just basically come to a stop right here and wait. So as they do so and as things get sorted out, we are going to take a quick side-by-side break. We will be right back at Talladega. Who's going to win the $300 tonight? Stick with us to find out. now we're going to see a little four-wide action.
Crazy out of the triangle.
Oh, he gets right into the lead under record.
3x3 entering 4.
Three do.
He blocked.
At the flag stand, side by side, it's going to be Jason Maines winning it at Talladega. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway, and a little bit of a scramble actually under caution here as the scoring, not sure what exactly went wrong, but man, Dawson, we saw something get messed up majorly here, and everybody went around the pace truck to get back on the lead lap. So as it stands, Brock Westmoreland's being scored as your leader. Daniel Del Rio in second. Now you're going to see the 16 of Joey Duchette go around. Mark Vondel caught up, but third in line is Chris Parkman. They're all still trying to catch up. I mean, I don't know about you, Dawson, but I'm thinking this is going to cause for a chaotic restart, and I take it back because they're going to do exactly what I was hoping. They're going to extend it, let these guys try to get it sorted out. So we'll go one more lap of caution, but, man, a little bit of struggles on the track and during caution.
Yeah, huge benefit to Westmoreland and Diorio, though, as they line up 1-2 all of a sudden on this restart if they're able to keep their positions right here. I'm not sure what the scoring monitor is up to on this caution, and we got guys trying to find their spots in line as well. And yeah, we needed an extra lap of caution. If we were going green right now, that would have been chaos to say the absolute least.
Looking at it here, Mark Vondel is currently a lap down. You see him sitting second in line, so I think there's still some things that didn't get sorted out all the way. I mean, Jason Jacoby as well. I think the scoring is supposed to have them at the back, but it doesn't. We are going to see one chaotic restart here, Dawson. I think we are going to see these guys three wide before we even probably get halfway down the back straightaway, trying everything to scramble for position. And, I mean, it's only going to be a 9-lap sprint to the finish, so you really do got to get whatever you can get wherever you can get it right here. It's all take, no give at this point.
I mean, that's the deal with this late in the race, on a cold track especially. You got to go. I mean, if you're going to get the third line working, you almost feel like you have to wait, but I don't think you have time to wait anymore. And, you know, these guys are not going to wait. I'm looking at the Dale Cup teammates that find themselves lined up 6th, 10th, and 12th here in Nagels, Korsick, and Hill. Those would be the first guys I would expect to make any kind of three-wide move on this restart. But you imagine they'll go immediately now. Now we're into a point where you don't have to worry about fuel. That's done and over with. So now you just go race for it, and whatever you do, you hope it sticks.
And these couple extra caution laps should have made it now to where I believe everybody would be good to go for at minimum 2 green-white checkers, most likely all 3, depending on how well you save it and how everything works out. But so you see on the bottom, the 55 of Mike Davenport is going to be the first guy that is not a lap down on the bottom after your leader. So Jason Jacoby and Mark Vondel being a lap down. We'll see what they choose to do right here, if they stay in line and fight for the lucky dog. And yeah, no, they still don't like what they see. Is we're going to go ahead and try this again. We'll go around one more time, see if we get the one to go signal again. And I think Dawson, I mean, I got to assume at this point it's something to do with the 2 lap trucks that they have being scored up here. I mean, it looks like everybody else has gotten things sorted out, but of course, we don't know exactly how they were running when the caution flew.
I mean, yeah, this is some kind of scoring issue here. Now it appears these 2 lap trucks are going to go ahead and go on by the pace truck, perhaps. One already has. Let's see if the second one does here. That's the 88 of Jason Jacoby, and there's one on the top.
Danny Eshelman and the 25 as well. Whitehead. Or excuse me, yeah, Whitehead.
There goes the 88 of Jacoby. I believe that's the 88 of Jacoby anyway. It might not be. I think it is, though.
And so we get the one to go signal here again. But man, this just keeps making that single file line longer and keeps taking the laps down less and less. And again, nothing on race control. I mean, you got to remember, this is just Michael Triscaro doing it by himself here tonight. Doesn't usually do it. It's been doing a great job too. Hats off to him. But this is just kind of one of those random situations that we see every once in a while. Hard thing to kind of figure out. And he continues to try to work the issue. Speaking of, though, where we're going to head next on Ghost Racing Network, Saturday night, the NOMA Truck Series kicks off the playoffs. Make sure you tune in. It's going to be a fun one. And then PGR Thursday Night Heat Series. Every Thursday, again, payouts a little bit bigger than usual this week. But we will be back to the $20 entry fee, I would assume, next week. And, well, actually, maybe I'll take that back with the new teams picking format. Could see something a little interesting next week. I mean, Dawson, if you had the choice to pick an entry fee and a format, what would you do?
I mean, I kind of like the one that was picked tonight. I'm not going to lie. It emphasizes green flag pit stops. I think McCullough Motorsports did a really good job of putting this format in place, making these guys have to not really work a little bit harder, but think a little bit harder, I think, and strategize more. I love strategy races. I talk about it all the time. So I really like the format that they put in place, but we'll see where it goes from here. It could go any number of ways the next few weeks.
All right, so here we go. Looks like the lights are off, haven't been turned back on, so I think we finally got everything sorted out. And it looks like the running order is going to be Brock Westmoreland leading us back to green, up 28 positions from where he started. Daniel Dio again making his first start here tonight. He will be leading that outside line. Mike Davenport in third, Chris Parkman back in fourth, as there goes Jason Jacoby to get another lap back, it looks like. Cody Nagels in fifth, Zachary Lima in sixth, Logan York in seventh, Dylan Jones eighth, Steve Korsak ninth, and Jackson Holbrook rounding out your top 10. Pace Truck's going to make the hard left turn. Getting ready to go back green. It's going to be 8 laps to go.
Yeah, it'll be the field in the hands of the two guys that benefited the best out of this caution, and that is Westmoreland and Diorio. What can they do on this restart? Green flag, 8 more laps here from Talladega. What a start by Brock Westmoreland. Maybe too good a start on the bottom for the 17. And here comes the outside, and all of a sudden, Westmoreland, man, he got a great jump, but at these kinds of tracks, that does not help. Diorio's got good help behind him, and Chris Parkman and Cody Nagels think they're going to have the run by the time we reach the super stretch.
Yeah, any other track, I would have been telling Brock Westmoreland to give himself a pat on the back for that restart. Not here at Talladega. You want to make sure that the guy behind you is lined up on your bumper. Oh, we got one turned. Lima. Steve Korsak said this is going to be the big one as we got multiple trucks piling back up. They're still wrecking up back. Now Mullahan and Stamper get involved. Heavy hit to the inside wall for Christopher McCall. Looks like Daniel Everhart as well. Joey Deschette brings out your 5th caution of the night. And Dawson, we had some suspicion that this might be the case. Late race restart, and cautions sometimes tend to breed cautions, but let's see how this one gets kicked off. It starts with the 4 of Zachary Lima getting turned at a line, and then everything's going to kind of stem from there. So we'll go back and take a look from the chopper view here. And you see Zachary Lima in the 4 truck on the inside, and couldn't tell exactly who that is running behind him right there. Might be, is that Dylan Jones? Yeah, it certainly is. And so Dylan, just a little bit of maybe a checkup. And I mean, you see, it looks like that's Everhart pushing hard on the back. Excuse me, not Everhart. That's the 15 of Jackson Holbrook pushing really hard on the back bumper of Dylan Jones. And yeah, just Lima just kind of gets hooked, swiped rather to the right. And that puts him right in front of his teammate Steve Korsak. Hooks the 4 truck into the outside wall hard, and now the wreck's on from here. Big hit to the inside wall for Holbrook. And then the guys collected in the secondary portion of this wreck was the one that really surprised me. Daniel Everhart, front end of that truck is completely gone. And of course we saw John Mullahan and Kenneth Stamper spin further up ahead.
It tends to happen. The laps get later, the pushes get harder, the checkups become more costly, and you end up with wrecks like that. Take out a number of trucks and shuffle the field up, and man, all of a sudden that's some heavy hitters in that one that were up at the front of the field that now have pretty critical damage to their trucks. They're going to have to either use a fast repair or come down and get that fixed, and late in the going, that's going to cost you quite a bit of time.
As we take a couple more looks at it, Christopher McCall piled into both of his teammates there at the end with just nowhere to go. And there's a Mullahan getting tagged pretty hard. Christopher shot to the inside wall. This one's probably going to cost at least probably 6 to 7 of these guys a fast repair, especially if you want a chance to get back up front this late in a race. Here's a ride on board with Daniel Everhart through this wreck. Sees it happen and trying to dodge. He's actually doing a pretty darn good job up to this point, and then just gets turned towards the end and so close to the inside wall that just didn't have any room to really slow it down before he made contact. As we take one final view of it here from the wall cam, you saw Everhart had to just tow it immediately. Nothing he could really do there. He's got a fast spur. Figures he might as well use it, and the quicker you tow, the quicker you're going to get out of there and hopefully not lose a lap. But Dawson, this is now going to put us into the next restart with, looks like probably about 3 or 4 laps to go, depending on if we get the want-to-go signal this time or next time. And so not an overtime just yet, but 4 laps is not that long to go. I think we see him fan out 3 wide, and at this point, if I'm Chris Parkman or Daniel DeRio, I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot leading these lanes, but you got to be careful. One thing I feel like we might see is Cody try to bait that 78 up the track and then split him 3 wide in the middle. And if you're Daniel, you got to make sure you stay extra disciplined right here, your first race, and potentially a chance to win probably one of the biggest pots that we've seen in PGR history.
Oh, absolutely. It's where the going gets tough, the tough get going. You know, you've heard that one before, and so, you know, this is where you gotta toughen up. You gotta make the right move. You can't be scared. You can't be hesitant. You gotta just do it and hope it sticks. And so many times I have been hesitant and it didn't work out. You get stuck, and then all of a sudden, well, I wish I would have made that move. You don't have time for that anymore. You got to just go out there and make it stick. You know, there's guys going to be restarting back further in the field that are going to go 3 wide. So if you're going to take it, you just got to be ready to do it right off the bat here and just hang it out and hope it works in a race like this. That's all you can really do if you're not in the first 1 or 2 rows here to really have a shot at this race.
And it looks like Daniel Del Rio actually might be working with KSR here tonight. Let's see if we can get a quick word with the driver of the 78 before we go green. Hey, Daniel, this is Austin and Dawson up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, roger that.
All right, well, your first start here tonight, and man, you are looking strong so far. Looking like it's going to be a 4-lap-to-go restart. How are you going to hold them all off here for 4 more laps and win the $300 tonight?
Well, I'll tell you, brother, I'm not really thinking about the money right now. I'm thinking I'm in for a nice little fight here for the last few laps, and I always enjoy a good fight, so I'm looking forward to it. Really good racing tonight, really good teammates. My KSR boys always run well. I appreciate their help and their friendship. So here we go. One more fight.
All right. Sounds like you're pretty excited about it. We'll be keeping an eye here. Hey, 4 more laps, and we could be talking to you here shortly. Good luck.
Roger that. Thank you.
Tell you what, Dawson, he sounded pretty amped up for his first race, and I like what he said there. He said, I'm not thinking about the money. I want to have myself a good fight, because I feel like as a driver, when you're out there enjoying the racing, it seems like things just fall into place. When you're out there stressing about if you're going to get into a payout position or not, sometimes things don't work out. So I'll tell you what, I'm rooting for the 78 here. We'll see if he can get it done.
Yeah, it's a great story, especially if he can get the job done. He's got a heck of a stable with him here tonight in KSR. Now, I can tell you his closest teammate on this restart, looking back, is going to be Ryan Baste, I do believe. So not a lot of help here at the front, at least on my look, or on my scoring here. He's going to have to pretty much go get it done by himself. Now, I will tell you, he's got great help here on this restart. Cody Nagel's probably one of the best pushers in the field, so he's got the help behind him. It's going to be up to, can he make the right moves, can he make the right decisions, and can he hold off the pack behind him?
He certainly does, and Cody's kind of in a position, I wouldn't say he's completely trapped, but he's kind of boxed in here. He is still in a money spot, so I think Cody right now might be okay with pushing the 78, assuming the 78 can kind of hold it. Now, if all of a sudden Daniel starts to get too uncomfortable, Cody doesn't like it, that's where maybe we see the 6 split. But I think the 78 tries to stay to the bottom right here. And the question is going to be, can Logan York give enough of a push to Chris Parkman to get him clear? If he does, we can see Logan York maybe looking for his first win in the PGR Thursday Night Heat Series. All right, here we go. 4-lap shootout to decide the winner tonight. Green flag is back in the air. It's a good restart on the outside. Logan York immediately to the back bumper of Chris Parkman. But you saw Brock Westmoreland sag just a little bit. That allowed him to get a big push to Cody Nagels. They're going to draw even down into turn number 1. Further back, looks like Matt Lee already trying to get 3 wide, but he doesn't have any lane formed up. York starting to fade a little bit now. This is going to be the make or break point. Can that outside get a run down the back straightaway?
They can, and they will. Here comes Chris Parkman back to the outside. It keeps Cody trapped on the bottom. That's exactly what they wanted to do. You know for a fact Cody would have taken it if he got clear. Third line forming up further back. Navarro is up there. Looks like Taylor Peacock is also up there in the 3 machine. That's a huge third line all of a sudden. Can they get any kind of runs going? It also is going to allow the middle to fade. Cody may get clear right here.
And if Cody gets clear, question is going to be, does he take it? Now it's time to maybe think about throwing a block or 2 if you're the 78, but his biggest goal here is going to be just to try to keep the 6 in check behind him, and he's going to need Logan York to keep the 8 up there once they get 3 wide at the front. I think we'll see that middle stall out, but we're not going to make it. Is there some contact out back? Does everybody save it? They're not going to. We're wrecking out back. 2 trucks involved as it's the 11 of Dylan Jones and the 04 of Matt Lee. Everybody else saves it, but the caution is out. And so that will send us into our first overtime here tonight. And man, oh man, the suspense continues to build. Let's go back and take a look at this one. Not too much to break down on this one. It doesn't look like here. Going to be some contact between the 25 and the 9 of Chris Blanchard right top of your screen. Yeah, it looks like just the 9 of Chris Blanchard coming down. gets into the 25 of Harrison Whitehead. That sends Harrison into Michael Menchaca. Harrison saves it here. Does an amazing job of saving it. That was not an easy truck to hold on to. And then further back, you see Zachary Lima get into Steve Korosek, but that's not where the main issue is. Main issue is going to be, looks like, I believe that's David Sheets. No, that's Christopher McCall, actually. See Sheets just in front of Matt Lee, and just do all the checkup. Chris gets into the back bumper of Matt Lee. That sends Lee up into Dylan. Both of those trucks into the wall. There you see Jason Jacoby pile in as well. He's able to escape it. So I think the guys that got the worst of this one, Dylan Jones and Matt Lee. And it's surprising normally when we see these late wrecks, Dawson, we're talking about 10-plus trucks involved. But, man, I think the field got pretty lucky on this one.
They did, and luckily for them, it happened further back than I thought it was going to. I thought that was going to be a massive wreck about halfway deep in the field, but lucky for those guys, they all somehow, some way managed to keep it going straight after we had several guys end up on the apron. But what this does is, number one, it resets the field. Number two, and probably the thing that Daniel DiOrio did not want to see, it's going to put Cody Nagels outside row number one. And when you put him out there in the middle, he's tough to beat. He's going to be dangerous right here on this restart.
Yeah, he certainly is, and it looks like 78 is going to have the 8 as his pusher. So, hey, I mean, you got two new guys. Maybe they'll work together pretty good. Looks like Brock Westmoreland is going to be lined up as the push on the outside. Brock, another one of the phenomenal pushers in the series. Logan York going to be starting from that 5th spot. John Darnell, again, phenomenal run here tonight is actually, yeah, there we go. I was going to say sitting up 10 positions from where he started, but currently sitting in the money. This is a guy that you kind of root for every week. He doesn't have a team. Lost a team that he was on, but still out here competing every week. And tell you what, he would be an excited guy if he could get a top 3 finish. We got a chance to talk to him up here in the booth. But remember, Dawson, even bringing home 6 here tonight was $100 if we had 40 people. So still probably walking home with, if I had to guess, somewhere around 60 to 80 bucks. Not too bad for a 6th place finish.
No, not at all. The payouts are really solid tonight. We talked about that from the time I've been in here, and we went through those payouts. Obviously, though, even if you're John Darnell, you're in the money now. But man, you see that $300 payout, it's like it's dangling in front of you right here. You gotta be quicker than that. I know you've seen that, but it's kind of how it feels when you're running 5th, 6th, 7th place. You see the lead, and I think you want a little bit more here on this restart. You want to go for that big money.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. When you're in the back, you're thinking to yourself, man, if I could just get in a payout spot, I'd be happy. I wouldn't ask for more. And then you find yourself in a payout spot and you say, man, I'm pretty close to the lead. That's a lot more money that I could grab if I could pick up just a few more positions. That's what always makes the racing so exciting. It always makes these things so crazy at the end. We're going to take, I think, one more break before we do. Looks like a couple more people in the chat here tonight. Robert Miller in, rooting on McCall Motorsports. Zach Range had said earlier, didn't have any issues, just wasn't in the right mentality to race. Well, we certainly sad to not see you out here, but you got to keep yourself. Watch out for number 1. So we certainly still appreciate you tuning in here, Zach. And hey, it's Dina says, let's go, Brambilla. Devin Ray, Trevor Oswornoth also tuning in tonight. Oswornoth rooting on KSR. And of course, he's won before here in PGR. So he's watching to see if one of his teammates can find themselves in victory lane here tonight. And so as the pace truck works its way out of turn 4, looking to be the hopefully final break we take here tonight. Stick with us. We'll be back from Talladega. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway as the field works their way out of turn 4 and getting ready to go for overtime number 1. Quick reminder of the rules: if they can make it one lap around to take the white flag, then this race will be official. We will finish it under green. However, if we get a caution that first lap, we'll rack them up and try it again. We got 2 more tries at it. If we can't get it done this time, field in the hands of Cody Nagels and Daniel Rio. Here we go. Green flag is back in the air. 2 laps to go at Talladega.
Lines are both rolling. Let's see whose pusher gets to him better. It's the outside all day long. Cody Nagels to the lead here in turn number 1, and he's got them lined up behind him. I imagine right here he's going to park it on the top. I got to think he's going to make everybody go around him if they want to. I don't even think he takes a look at the bottom anymore. Bottom rolls a little bit, but they've got them lined up. Here goes the third line, though. Blanchard hangs spaced out to dry off turn number 2.
Boy, that was a really risky move. A lot of shuffling going on. I don't know if they're going to make it around here, Dawson.
Further back, it's Nash Brambilla, I think, in the 4 of Zach Lima and the 04 of Matt Lee, and we're back under caution.
And caution is back in the air. Yeah, certainly looking like Lee. Yep, he's all torn up. Ken McCall Jr. and multiple others involved in this one. That's going to end Ken McCall Jr.'s night, and I believe that might end Matt Lee's night as well. So I think both of them may have already taken their fast fare. Let's go back and take another look. And man, you feel bad for Ken in this case. Wasn't even all that close and just piles into Matt Lee. He got some damage from a previous wreck, though, it looks like. And he was just trying to hang with the pack here on this one. Let's go to the chopper view. See exactly how this thing gets started. It's up near Steve Korsak, Jason Jacoby, Zachary Lima. Actually, this one starts right around the Dale Cup region here. And taking a look at it, you see Lima. Oh, there's some right rear net code right there between Zachary Lima and Matt Lee. Lima was maybe slowly drifting up, but I mean, there's still plenty of room between the two when it actually turns the 4 around. And once they make that little bit of a net code on the right rear, that sends Lima into the 8-8 of Jason Jacoby, sends Jacoby down into Steve Korsak, who looks like he's able to save it for the most part, but now the 88 up the track gets in the 16 of Joey Doucette. He gets into the outside wall, the 16, goes for a spin, and then Zachary Lima to the inside, and wow. Lima, that could have been a lot worse for him. You see he somehow misses this big hit right here for Ken McCall Jr. and Matt Lee, and Ken tried to shoot the gap, I think, and just didn't make it as Matt Lee filled it right as he got there. And that was a big, big hit for the 03 and the 04. Let's ride on board here with Ken McCall Jr. As again, he had some damage, it looked like, before this wreck, and he sees him start wrecking, and he's going to dive low and never bails out of it there. And I think the reason for that, and we'll back this up one more time. I want to take a look at the front before I say for sure. Yeah, sure enough. So he has all this damage. So Ken McCall Jr. right here, he sees him bumping before they wreck, so he dives down to the apron hoping to miss it. But if he bails out of the throttle before he knows they're actually wrecking, then he doesn't stick with the draft and maybe has no chance of anything happening on that last lap. Stays in it, and unfortunately, just before he could get around it, Matt Lee slid down right in front as they were wrecking, and they make heavy contact. Let's ride on board. Take a couple more angles here. First one was Zachary Lima. I mean, this had to be a pretty wild-looking view as he's almost in the middle of Ken McCall Jr. and Matt Lee just before they make this contact. Now you see Lima get spun around to the inside. And man, oh man, that was a wild look right there for Zachary Lima. And take one more view of it here from the TV1 cam. Again, Dawson, it's just, we see it. Cautions breed cautions. And this one, not really anything anybody was doing wrong in terms of hard racing, just a little bit of right rear net code, but it is going to send us into a second overtime, and some guys starting to feel the pressure of this thing maybe having a small chance of ending under caution. I think we're going to see even more aggression right here.
Well, ending under caution, and also when does fuel mileage become a bit of a concern for the guys that maybe pit under green and then also, or not pit under green, pit under that last caution technically, but pit on that first round. If you're a guy like Cody Nagels up front here that did not come back to top off, if I remember correctly. I don't think he did. They may have, but I don't think they did. And so when does fuel mileage become an issue as well? You can only make about, 16, 17 laps on a tank. Now, granted, we've had some cautions, but still, you can't stretch that too far. And we see guys down on the flat, Logan York, Taylor Peacock, and some others further back, maybe fuel mileage becoming an issue.
Yeah, I certainly think that's the case. I mean, Talk about fuel. If these guys ran a full normal run, we're looking at 14 to 15 laps with heavy saving. And this amount of cautions, I think maybe you creep into that 17, maybe 18 lap range. But yeah, I agree. It's cutting it really close. These guys got to be hoping that we can get it done on this one. Otherwise, we might see some pit stops and potentially a full inversion of the field. We'll see if anybody decides to pull off right here as we're going to come around and get the 1 to go signal. Now, we had a chance to talk to the 78 here tonight. One of the new guys. Wanted to see if we would get a chance to talk with one of the veterans up front here. But it looks like all the guys for Dale Club, including Cody Nagels here tonight, not in the Discord. So I want to see if we can maybe get a quick word. See if we can get a quick word a little bit further back here. How about, yeah, I tell you what, I take it back. I don't see anybody up here in the top 10 that I'm currently finding in the booth, at least that we haven't already talked to. So we'll just go ahead and let these guys roll around. And we talked about it's going to send us into that second overtime, Dawson. And, you know, from my point of view, I know I just brought it up, but when I know that there's a chance that a race could end under caution again, if they don't get it done this time, they'll have one more try. It almost puts me in a little bit more of a panic mode because I know that you're starting to run out of chances to try it again if things don't go right. So I think we're going to see that third lane form up that much quicker. But Cody Nagels, man, he's just so good here. Isn't he staying on the outside? And as you had said, just kind of parks it there and almost dares everybody, go ahead, go around. I know exactly how I want to play this out. And it's not often that you see somebody outsmart the driver of the 6 truck.
No, he's one of the guys that's very sound on these kinds of racetracks. He knows what he's doing. He knows exactly the right move to make and when to make it. Definitely fundamentally one of the best super speedway racers on the circuit right now. So he's going to be a tough guy to beat. Even if you try to go around him, he's going to be really tough to beat. He's going to find a way to somehow manipulate these lines to where he can either keep the third line from going or block the third line if he needs to. He always knows what to do and when to do it. So he'll be very tough to beat. But as for panicking, you do. But also, the third caution, remember that last green white checker, if it's not in the money positions at the front of the field, we're gonna keep it green. We're gonna keep running. So a wreck like that with Matt Lee and guys further back, that would not have brought out a caution if it was the next attempt. So that at least helps these guys maybe calm down just a little bit here on the second attempt.
Certainly does. And I'll tell you what, that last restart, remember the inside did not get going. And I think the 7-8 got pretty lucky that Cody was Cody and didn't want to jump down, because if he jumps down, I'd say that all but ends the 78's chance of going for the win here tonight. We'll see if they can get a bit of a better restart this time on the inside. But Cody Nagels is in control, chose the outside, and I think him and Brock Westmoreland have a plan here to try to maybe see if they can get both of them clear. And if not, stay lined up, stay on the outside, try to bring home the big money here tonight. Green flag is back in the air. Overtime number 2, 2 laps to go at Talladega. It's another good restart for the outside line. Cody Nagels off to a great jump as he is going to almost get clear of the 78 down into turn 1. Looks like he does, but he's not going to take it as they side drive. Already third lane foreman. Here comes Christopher McCall and Alex Hill up top.
And they've got a massive run too, Austin. They're going to be up here in a hurry. If you want to go 3 wide, you've got to go now. And if you're Cody, all of a sudden, what looked to be a pretty sure bet, all of a sudden he's got company at the front of the field. This is not going to be easy for Cody Nagels, especially with a guy like Alex Hill pushing. He goes to the bottom, takes the run. He leads, but they're 3 wide up front.
Yeah, Cody realized how sketchy that was getting in the middle. He said, you know what, I'll just jump to the bottom here. Play it a little bit safer. Now he's going to have to rely on the rookie, Daniel Del Rio, to give him a big push. But now Brock Westmoreland's going to jump down. Final time here coming into the short chute before we make it to the white flag. Question is, are we going to make it 4 wide out back? They're almost wrecking. They're all going to keep it together. White flag is in the air. 1 more lap to go. John Darnell now pokes the nose out in front. He's leading the middle line.
Holy cow, up front, it has gotten insane here just in the last few seconds. Westmoreland's going to get clear. Now the question is, does Cody get clear? He might right here. He might try to squeeze it if he gets a window. He's not going to get it yet. Still not going to get it down the backstretch. It's all Brock Westmoreland headed to turn number 3.
John Darnell driving for everything he's worth right here as Christopher McCall jumps down in front of the 99. He sees a chance at some money right here, trying to push that 24 out to enough of a lead, but Cody locked in as well on the bottom, trying to keep Brock in front. Now here comes the 77 of Alex Hill. Couple of them going to spin out back, but this is going to be a drag race all the way to the start-finish line if they can keep it clean. Momentum in the middle, but it's going to be a photo finish at the line. Christopher McCall wins it by 5/100ths of a second, and $300 going to go the way of McCall Motorsports here tonight. But what a finish, Dawson. What in the world?
Man, I tell you what, for a split second there in 3 and 4, I thought Alex Hill and Kenny Stamper were going to come up and spoil the party up front. They come up just short, but regardless, what a finish. I mean, that's the kind of finish you want out of a race like this with a $300 payout on the line.
And look who brings home second, John Darnell. The man with no team going to be bringing home probably, I would have to say, at least $150 here tonight, probably closer to 200. You love to see that. We'll get to hear from him shortly as Ryan Baste, along with the 77 of Alex Hill, also getting in the money there. Actually, Ryan Baste, yeah, sure enough, last spot in it. They're going to be pretty happy. Christopher McCall, though, goes for a slide along the grass. He is your winner here tonight, and as he does burn it down, let's take a look at your finishing results here at Talladega Superspeedway. All right, so bringing home the win tonight, we saw it. Christopher McCall, John Darnell finishing in second, his best run in the PGR Thursday Night Heat Series to this point. Brock Westmoreland finishes third, Alex Hill in fourth, Ryan Baste in fifth, Cody Nagels in sixth. Kenneth Stamper finishes back in seventh, John Mullihan in eighth, Michael Menchaca ninth, with Daniel Dio-Rio rounding out the top 10.
Chris Parkman finishes 11th tonight with Logan York in 12th, Andrew Navarro 13th, Ron Morris 14th, Joey Doucette in 15th, Danny Eshelman 16th, Mark Mondell finishes 17th, Jason Jacoby in 18th, Nash Brambilla 19th, and Harrison Whitehead rounds out the top 20.
Chris Blanchard finishes 21st, Steve Korsak 22nd, Sean Corbett 23rd, Jackson Holbrook 24th, Taylor Peacock in 25th, David Sheets 26th, Zachary Lima 27th, Mike Davenport 28th, Matt Lee in 29th, Ken McCall Jr. rounding out your top 30. Dylan Jones in 31st, Dustin Carruthers in 32nd. Daniel Eberhardt rounding out the field tonight. He finishes up in that 33rd position. All right, well, let's go back here real quick and take a look at this. I wouldn't say final lap. I would say final straightaway, because that's really what it all came down to. I mean, everybody kept it clean, and we saw a lot of really hard pushing coming to the line. So here you go. Through the tribal. You know, and I'll be honest, Austin, I figured it would be the middle or the top line that had the momentum, but I think that cooler track temp was just enough to keep the top from having enough of a run to try to go for it right at the line. But you see on the bottom, Brock Westmoreland gets just a little bit loose off the front bumper of Cody Nagels. I think that's what cost that line just a little bit at the line, as you see Darnell just inch out a second place finish, and Christopher McCall gets it, I would say, a little bit more comfortably than it initially seemed. We thought it was going to be probably within a thousandth of a second or two right there at the line. But man, oh man, what a finish and what a win for Christopher McCall.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge win. That's a $300 win. You could tell he was excited there at the end, celebrating on the front straightaway. And man, you just can't overstate the run for John Darnell. What a run for him. You can't help but root for him, and he was very, very close to getting the job done right there.
Certainly was. All right, we're going to go get your top three in here from interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega.
All right, back live here at Talladega. I stand by with our third place finisher tonight, Brock Westmoreland. Brock, you got a copy?
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, we got you loud and clear up here. Man, what a finish to this race. Seemed like every one of the top 6 or 7 trucks had it at one point on that run. So take us through the last 2 laps, what was going through your head and how you brought it home third.
Yeah, I was trying to work with Cody there. I was trying to give him real good pushes off the restarts there. Trying to get us both clear, but couldn't get us both cleared. But he jumped down there, and the bottom line just kind of stalled out, and I had to jump in front of him. I thought that was my only chance at getting into the money there, and it worked out. But it was a wild finish.
Well, it definitely was. It was a wild race overall. And kind of talk to us about how both the payouts and also the cold track temp kind of contributed to that, the racing we saw up front and the pushing we saw up front there at the end.
I definitely liked the cold temps and the just the overall weather and everything. You could push real good. It was just super easy to get locked on. The runs were good. It was a real good package tonight. And yeah, looking forward to that little bit of money. It's not had much luck in this series, but finally brought one home on a podium.
Well, you definitely did. And so while we have you for a second here after that third place run, anybody you want to thank or shout out?
Thank Cody there for working with me a little bit, and just thank Michael Scarrow for putting this on, and y'all and Ghost Racing Network there put on a good show. Just thank y'all for doing this.
All right, well, congrats on that third place finish. Congrats on that money. Go enjoy it. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, now that is going to lead us to your second place finisher here tonight. And, of course, the new best finish in the Thursday Night Heat Series for the man, John Darnell. John, this is Austin and Dawson up at the booth. You got a copy?
10-4, I do. How you guys?
Good, man. Well, we were watching. You looked like you almost had a chance at stealing the 300. Would have been one of the best underdog wins that we've ever seen here in the PGR Thursday Night Heat Series. But nonetheless, you bring home second. But tell us about the chaos and all the pushing that you had to give to Christopher McCall those last two laps.
Well, I used to run a lot with the McCallers, man, and that's just they give me, sort of a motivation, man. So give it everything I got and push Chris, man. I couldn't win the 200, or couldn't win the 300, man, but money's money. It's a good finish. I'm happy. Can't wait.
Well, with that second place finish here tonight, again, those last two laps, probably some of the most experience that you can get out there. So that's when guys are racing the most aggressive. What did you kind of maybe take from tonight that you can put towards the future, and we can see you maybe bring home your first win here next week?
I got a lot of experience tonight managing my temperatures. I tried to stay in the back and stay out of trouble. Tried to put myself in the best spot I could to win at the end.
Certainly did a phenomenal job of that. Well, before we let you head out and enjoy your winnings tonight, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I want to thank Triscar for putting on the money race. I want to thank you, Austin. You guys have stayed with me the whole time, man. It's time to go win some money with Ghost Racing Network on the hood.
Yeah, certainly love to see it as well. Hey, thanks for talking to us, John. Congrats on the second place finish, and hopefully we'll see you out here next week.
Yes, sir, Austin. Thank you.
All right, and now that is going to lead us to your race winner. He's going to be one happy man, too, Christopher McCall. Chris, this is Austin and Dawson up at the booth. You got a copy?
What's up, brother? I got you.
Well, I'll tell you what. First thing, it's about dang time you get a win here in the PGR Thursday Night Heat Series, and it comes in great fashion. $300. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good, man. To restart 14th and get to the front on a green-white checkered, it just doesn't happen like that.
Well, kind of walk us through the decision to jump to that third line. I mean, we saw you guys back the front before we even got to turn 3 on the restart.
Yeah, we had a good run there, and they stacked up in the middle, and I held them down tightly, and there was some squirrely guys in there, so they were giving each other room. And I had a good run. I noticed Alex is a little separated, so I drug the brakes a little to get him on my bumper, and we just took off.
Well, we know that part of the way the race was set up tonight, McCall Motorsports got to pick the format, that $25 entry fee. You feeling pretty good about the decisions you guys have made with how much money you're bringing home?
Yeah, I mean, the whole point was to get green flag pit stops, get a little separation, and get some green flag laps in. It's unfortunate. I got spun out on pit road. There was issues on pit road all night. But not bad when you can come off the winner, that's for sure.
Certainly not. Well, hey, before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I got to thank Triscaro and Baker for all the work they do on maintaining this league. I got to thank you for always broadcasting, you and Dawson. Y'all do a great job. I look forward to watching it every time. And I got to thank all these drivers. I know it's been a handful the past couple weeks, but we got the best super speedway drivers in this that run every Thursday night, and it's a blast to run with them.
All right. Thanks for talking to us here tonight, Chris. Congrats on the win. Go enjoy your 300, and we'll see you next week.
See you, buddy. You have a good night.
All right. There you go. So that's just about going to wrap up our coverage here tonight. Well, we got a form of a new winner, Christopher McCall. Not a surprise winner. We've seen him be fast when he's in this series. But I'll tell you what, Dawson, the race may have gotten a little dicey at times, but those last 2 laps and that finish made up for it. Phenomenal job.
Absolutely well worth it. And obviously Chris, man, good to see him get a victory. Finally, one panned out his way. It landed his way. We've seen him be up front and get taken out late in these. So good to see him get the money. Good to see John Darnell have a great run, and same with Brock there running third. Good run for some guys that don't typically get that kind of spotlight. Good for those guys tonight. What a great finish.
Yeah, I agree. A podium, definitely not one that we normally see, but one that we certainly like to see. All right, that is going to officially wrap up our coverage here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. As always, hope everybody did enjoy Saturday night. We'll be back for the NOMA Truck Series, and then next Thursday, actually I should say next Tuesday, is when Dawson will be joining me back in the booth for Tuesday Night Thunder. Looking forward to then. Thank you, Dawson.